Thanks for tuning in to Men for the Win, a podcast hosted by David Kufis and Dan Thompson, two avid fans who appreciate well-played baseball, especially when it's done by the Twins. Men for the Win is sponsored by the Grand Group with Edina Realty. Are you looking to purchase a new home in the Twin Cities area? Or perhaps you're trying to sell your current home? Whether you're upsizing or downsizing, the Grand Group with Edina Realty will meet all of your housing needs. Contact the Grand Group by emailing thegrand, G-R-A-N, group at edinarealty.com or call them by phone at 612-817-8751. The Grand Group with Edina Realty, 7-time Minneapolis-St. Paul Magazine Super Agent Award winners. Men for the Win is part of the Pulltab Sports Network, covering sports, culture, and entertainment across the Midwest. Check them out at pulltabsports.com and give them a follow on all your social media platforms at Pulltab Sports. On this episode, David and Dan recap the Twins' 3-game series against the Kansas City Royals. Thanks for listening. Enjoy. Thanks for tuning in to Men for the Win. My name is David Kufis. With me, as finally, I guess, is Dan Thompson. Yeah. Dan, we've been apart for so long. This might be the longest break we've ever had on the podcast. Can you believe it?
It has been. I should go back and take a look at the schedule here. Yes. So the last time we spoke was July 27th, I believe, the Nationals series. And then there were 3 episodes. There were actually 4 episodes in there because Hogs and I sneaked in that trade deadline one. So welcome back to the podcast, David. This is great. I did have a fine enough time at the amusement park. The last episode record, I wouldn't have been home till very late. We ran rides till the bitter end. I made it, David, and I'm back on the ground, thankfully.
Did you? And you rode on the roller coaster?
I rode a roller coaster. I rode the old rickety wooden one rather than the whirly-twirly one. I'm not a big fan of going upside down.
Yes. No, we were not intended to go upside down, Dan.
That's
just not how we were built.
It's fascinating. I guess that's why it's thrilling. A few things I wanted to mention. First of all, I have to compliment you on the 2026 roster construction tab, David.
Thank you.
It is remarkable, the work that you have done. You put in a lot more work than Falvey, I think, did for the Twins here over the last, with more foresight. I think maybe you should just share this with him, just so he actually remembers the guys who are still with the team for the next couple of seasons.
Just add them. Like, hey, man, just in case you don't know, like, these are your options now that you've made all these moves.
I got a spreadsheet for you, Thad.
Oh, man.
No, not Thad. The other one, Derek. Anyway, get those guys confused.
At this point, it's sort of like when a guy doesn't make it to the majors. You know how we don't really know how to say their name correctly? That's how I'm at now with Derek Falvey.
Like onions.
Exactly.
And Thad Levine. Yeah.
So one other thing. So I surreptitiously, might be the word, bought myself a new hat. David,
Ooh.
I've had my eye on that Twins, 4th of July hat, for a while. And I had cold feet earlier, and it was on sale, and so I finally bought it. My holdup was the cord on the hat, right? The one that goes above the bill.
Yes.
So I did some Googling to try to learn why that exists. And originally, apparently, it was for sailors as a way to keep the bill in place. And I was looking for more reasons. Do you know what I mean? I wanted more reasons to buy a hat like that. So I did buy it, David, but I got to say I'm going to switch here. I'm going to switch my hat.
Okay.
Because I made a little modification.
Wow, I hate that so much.
You hate this?
Wow. Do I hate what you've done there, Dan. I can't even describe the feeling I just got in my gut when you put that hat on. Because can I tell you what I was doing as you were talking, Dan? I'm only listening 50% of the time.
Of course,
but you said you got the hat online, and I've been waiting for it to come back in stock so I can order it.
Yeah.
But the problem is they don't have it in my size, and they still don't. And now that I'm looking at the hat you're wearing, it makes me not want to order it just to know that somebody out there has done what you have done to this hat.
So I cut the cord, David, right? I took a razor blade and I just cut it off, and it's gone. And I think it's a superior hat. I think I have improved this hat.
Oh my goodness, you've made it so much worse. It's a hat that I wouldn't even give a second look to now.
What do you like about the cord? The cord is so trendy.
Can we go back to... Okay, this is my question to you. You said you looked up why the cord exists. You found a good reason why the cord exists on the hat, even wasn't enough. The fact that it wasn't there just for aesthetic reasons, and you're still upset enough that you bought the hat and then cut the cord off. What are you hoping that there's some thesis about somebody put it on there to save the planet or something? I don't understand what you're looking for.
I just think that it's an unnecessary fashion trend. It's going to fade. Like the short shorts or some other trend in fashion. It has lost its functionality. I'm not holding things in it. I'm not tucking a dollar bill in there.
It's a losing argument, Dan, because the TC on your hat isn't doing anything either. Why don't you go ahead and just cut that off?
No, that's part of the look. Anyway, that's the
whole point of the cord, Dan, is it's part of the look. What are you talking about?
I didn't like that part of the look. And then I kind of held my fingers over it and kind of imagined what it would be like without the cord. And then I said, that's enough. I'm going to take it off.
Okay, what's funny about this, guys, is that Dan texted me that he was hoping that his wife wouldn't notice that he's purchased these new hats. I'm curious what her thoughts would be if you said, oh, I also took a razor blade to one of them because I only liked it enough for part of the hat.
Well, she made the first cut. And then I cut the other side off. So she was very much in the know about this.
Oh, Dan.
It wasn't just man. It was partially her idea too.
I'm not a witch, I'm your wife.
But it was anyway, it was mostly my idea. I love it. I'm so excited to wear this to school and have my students critique it. They're not even going to know. I've made an improvement to the hat.
Are you going to for me, Dan? For me, will you tell them and show them a picture of what that hat looked like, that beautiful hat looked like before you ruined it by taking a razor blade to it? I would appreciate it.
I will. Anyway, David, a fun series here against the Royals. The Twins win 2 of 3. They're playing like they don't care about what has just happened to them. They're playing,
but in a good way,
yes.
Right? Like, sorry, I missed what you said there at the end about how what had happened to them. I thought you were just saying like they just play like they don't care, and I would agree, but in the good way. Like there's a good way and a bad way to play when you say they're playing like they don't care, and this is the good way, Dan.
Absolutely. Let's get into the series recap.
Series recap.
The Twins win Game 1, 9-4. The Royals get the first run, actually, off of Joe Ryan here. A leadoff home run by Mike Yastrzemski. It's hard to say. It's hard to spell. I have 4 consonants next to each other. I am so glad. I can see why they just called him Yaz and his, anyway, and his forebears. Anyway, but the Twins answer in the bottom of the first. They actually more than answer. Matt Wallner hits an opposite field home run to the bullpens. Then Jeffers walks. Clemens singles. Keaschall, of course, comes up and gets an RBI. Lewis grounded into a fielder's choice where nobody was out and a run scored, but he didn't get the hit. The shortstop tried to go to second to get Keaschall, but he's too fast, right? He can't be stopped. David?
Well, and it was interesting because India gets the ball at second, and Keaschall slides head first, which you don't normally see into second base, but Keaschall could tell that it was going to be a close play, and then his helmet sort of like kneecapped India. Like I guess not kneecapped because it was from the back, but it was like Keaschall was very apologetic, but it's also sort of like if you know you got a speed guy on first, I mean, he has every right to slide into that bag to make it safe if it's going to be a close play. It was just nice to see Keaschall apologize too. Like sometimes guys like would refute, like, no, we're competitors. Like, no, you still don't want to see guys hurt.
I have magic hair that glows when I sing.
We're gonna play that a lot, I think, on this one. We're gonna try to beat the record you set last episode.
I don't know if you can. I think it was like 14 or something.
Oh, man. So it's 3-1 there at that point. Twins get a couple more in the bottom of the second on RBI singles by Jeffers and Keaschall. We're gonna talk later about Jeffers' page turning gesture. That's what Audrey Martin called it. So we're gonna save that discussion for later. He had a lot of opportunities. Also, 28,000 people went to this baseball game, David. So apparently, like, people still want to go. Why do you think they went?
I think that there was a healthy contingent of Royals fans. That's what I'll have to say.
Sure,
that's the only answer that I have. And then the Twins keep like throwing out advertisements for cheaper food and concessions. I don't think that's moving the needle for folks, but I guess for some people, maybe it is, Dan.
Bottom of the fourth, Cody Clemens hits a 2-run homer. I just can't get rid of Cody Clemens. It's 7-1.
Dan, he is one of the foundation. He is the cornerstone upon which this roster will be built, Dan.
Anyway, Joe Ryan does finish 5 innings, though, David, it's a very hot night.
Don't forget to bring a towel.
And we will mention his towel top, whatever it was, that his turban that he put on the top of his head a little bit later. But he only allows the 1 earned run, 4 hits, 5 Ks. Top of the 6th, Travis Adams enters in a strategy that I am just so glad that you're going to bring up a little bit later. But he gives up a home run to his first batter, actually, Bobby Witt Jr. So it's 7-2. Twins get a couple more runs in the 6th on RBIs by Jeffers and Lewis. Also had a couple guys thrown out at home. I thought this was really funny, just kind of the way that this went down. So the first one is Wallner going on a contact play. And Wallner has this look in his eyes.
Yes, but a very cute moose. Make all the boy moose go.
Like, why did you send me? Like, what did you think was going to happen? And I think in an era where you could plow into the catcher, sure. But, like, Matt Wallner's not going to score on a ground out to first.
No. So a quick note here, because we've had this discussion a couple of times on the contact play. And what we've been told from the Twins is that when the contact play is on, the decision lies with the runner, not with the third base coach, whether or not the guy goes home. So I don't really know, because it has to happen so bang bang, like as soon as there's contact, you're on the move. I still think this is on Matt Wallner. And yeah, he did look to be like, why did I go? It was a very
kind of a moose in the headlights look a little bit too when he gets close there, right?
Yes.
That's a moose.
The other was Clemens trying to score on a hit to the outfield, which I thought was fine. Like, be aggressive. You're up by a lot of runs. Royals get a couple more in the 8th and the 9th, but it's out of reach. It's 9-4, and the Twins win, and then we go to game 2. This was the more disappointing, obviously, the way that it went down. Royals win this 2-0. Not a lot to say. The Twins have plenty of chances. They actually don't have a 1-2-3 inning until the 8th. They finished 0 for 10 with runners in scoring position. Bailey Ober was effective. I think he's looked a whole lot better.
Where did all these unsupervised children come from?
Since coming back. And then Tonkin, we're going to mention a little bit later, and Topa pitched scoreless 7th and 8th. So, like, they're pitching pretty well here in this one. The Royals get their runs in the top of the 3rd on a Michael Garcia RBI double. He looks excellent out there. And then the top of the 9th, an RBI single by Jonathan India off Erasmo Ramirez. And then the Twins just go down in order in the 9th. Not much there, really.
So the only thing I thought was funny about this game was that Royce Lewis came up with chances to score basically every opportunity he was at bat. And the announcers were like, and here comes Royce Lewis in a very familiar situation during this game. And he could never put contact on the ball, Dan.
Well, he had the one double, I think. Or maybe that was actually game 1, I guess, where he had the double that Clemens was throwing at home. So you're right. Royce came up with a lot of big spots, but he doesn't have to be big spot Royce anymore, David. So we'll mention that a little bit later. Then there's game 3. So the Twins do win this. It's actually a very exciting game. They win it in 11, 5-3. Couple of plays to mention here. Top of the 1st, a nice unassisted double play by Clemens on the liner to first. I believe it was by Pasquantino, who hit everything like over 100 miles an hour. Royals still get 1 in the frame. Bottom of the 3rd, Mickey Gasper walks, good on him for getting on base any way he can. Brian Fitzgerald with, I gotta say, he's got some flowing locks of his own.
I have magic hair that glows when I sing.
It doesn't have the same glowing look. It looks more like, I don't want to say, it's more like the hair you would see flowing off of like somebody who's racing a dirt bike. It's just...
Yeah.
Rather than somebody who's chasing a princess, right? There's something different there.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. I feel like you're on sort of dangerous ground, though, Dan, with sort of the stereotypes that you're putting forth. So maybe just careful as we're moving forward.
Some of my favorite students ride dirt bikes, and they have that long hair, right? It's okay, right? I know these people. They're good people.
What do you mean by these people?
People who look like Ryan Fitzgerald's hair. That's what I mean. Anyway, I can take
Sometimes I'll start a sentence, and I don't even know where it's going. I just hope I find it along the way.
You just let me keep going. It's what is it? Gaslighting. It's something else here anyway.
Yeah. Trolling, I think, is the most generic
That's
term.
the word.
Yeah.
That's the word. I don't know all those terms. Instigating. That's the word that I think my teenagers would use. Top of the 5th, a nice play by Pearson Ole picking off Michael Garcia after he just delay stole in second base, which is like a savvy move. Royals also gave Bobby Witt Jr. a day off today, which I think was probably a mistake. Given all the opportunities to use him, they probably could have.
They're not going to make the postseason either, Dan. They're not trying.
They've fallen back in the Rays. Anybody? Okay, so then this is one of my favorite things. So in the top of the 7th, and this is the only time I'm going to mention his name, so I'm going to bring him up. So Alan Roden, who I must say I have had my questions about so far, David. My tune has changed about this man. Do you know why, David?
Well, just because of your text message, but it took me to the 4th paragraph to understand that you were talking about the same Alan Roden.
Oh man, he is an astronaut basically, David. He has a physics degree. He got like some grant from NASA, Nebraska. Like, you should read the story. There's a good one. It's on Sportsnet Canada. You can Google it really easily. But he chose baseball over science, which I think is fun. One of my favorite children's books is a book called Randy Riley's Really Big Hit. Which is by this is a shameless plug for Chris Van Dusen. I hope you're listening, Chris Van Dusen. But it's about I doubt it. He's from Maine.
Oh, okay. The way you said that was like you're buddies with him, and like he's gonna listen to the show and be so happy that you shouted him out.
But we'll have to add him to see, because it's a book about a kid who loves baseball but is terrible at it, but great at science and uses that scientific power to save the world. David. Anyway. So after that catch, the Royals actually get a man on, and then Pasquantino hits a 2-run homer to right, so it's 3-2. Also, we should note that Mickey Gasper caught in this game. It was the first player not named Ryan Jeffers or Christian Vasquez to catch a game for the Twins, I think since 22 or 23, which is really just a remarkable run.
Well, and I guess Vasquez is going to be out for a while, it looks like, because he had surgery on his shoulder now. Like
an infection in his shoulder, so we sure hope he's okay. In the bottom of the 8th, the Twins do tie it. Martin triples on actually a pretty bad misplay by the Royals left fielder, and then after Clemens pops out, Jeffers singles in the game-tying run. The top of the 9th, the Royals load the bases, actually, but Frazier, who had already 4 hits in the game, is able to line out to right. And then we get one of my favorite relievers here, David, I gotta say. Michael Tonkin, David. 2 clean innings here in extras to keep the Twins' hopes alive.
That sounder, Dan. I gotta be honest. I added it to my board Just not sure that I'm ever going to use it. I mean, I know that some of our sounders are a bit far-fetched as far as how we
That's
got
not
there.
far-fetched. The Gulf of Tonkin was a major conflict in the Vietnam War, and his last name is Tonkin, so it works.
Okay, just restate what you just said and then count the steps that you get, because you're not done. Then you also have to explain the Good Morning Vietnam sounder connecting to Tonkin.
It's a great film. It's a film. It's iconic about Vietnam, but in a lighthearted way, right? You know, like
I know, but it's still like 6 steps. Like it's the fact that it's going to take you 90 seconds to explain why that sounder connects to him, Dan, makes it a little bit tricky.
That's probably we're going to see how it plays. If he keeps pitching like this, Dave, we're going to have to keep using it. And then after in the bottom of the 11th, it's not a good situation for the Twins because Austin Martin, who I think he thinks that he's an Aston Martin sometimes, and he thinks that he can just anyway, he was thrown out at third on a fly ball to center field, and Hope looks pretty lost. But then Luke Keaschall comes through with a walk-off hit, David, and it was a beautiful home run to right field.
What drama, what a game, what a finish.
And the Twins win this one 5-3.
Wonderful, Dan. And that's actually Keaschall's first walk-off MLB hit. It seems like it shouldn't be because he's done almost everything else in his career, Dan. But it's the Twins' 9th of the year, tied with Boston and San Francisco for the MLB lead. You would think if you lead a category like that, Dan, that you would have a better record overall.
You would think so. And speaking of leading categories, David, Minnesota, there's a new high-speed internet sheriff in town. Gateway Fiber has landed in Blaine, Brooklyn Park, Champlin, Coon Rapids, Maple Grove, and Plymouth, with plans to expand deeper into Minnesota. Gateway Fiber boasts a fiber optic network that exceeds the capabilities of some of the biggest players in the business, giving you more whiz for less cost for all your online working, streaming, and gaming. With no hidden fees, no data caps, no installation fees, Gateway Fiber is perfect for your home or office. Go to gatewayfiber.com to get fast, reliable, and affordable high-speed internet.
Catch 'em all, Kirby Puckett!
Puckett's Picks winner.
Well, Dan, it would take a miracle, almost as much of a miracle as for the Twins to come back and win the AL Central. But the listeners, Dan, they're trying their darndest to come back to take Hogs off the throne. Listeners come away with the victory and the bonus, taking Luke Keaschall, who scores 13 points. Coming in second, Dan, your guy Matt Wallner, who probably could have given Keaschall a run for his money.
Yeah, I'm a little annoyed that we didn't know that Matt Wallner's wife was so pregnant and that we were on the verge of being born here. And, you know, good on him. Wallner goes on paternity leave after the first game. A happy, healthy baby girl.
Yes, but a very cute moose. Make all the boy moose go. Wah!
Well, that may end up being the case. So congratulations to the Wallner family. Hope he comes back. Glad the Twins got a win without him in Game 3.
Yeah, and then I took Lee, who had 2. Hogs took Martin, who had 4. So now the standings, Hogs is still in the lead with 15. Dan, I'd love to say hot on his trail, but you're a ways back also with 11. The listeners at 10.5. And then me, I'm just sort of playing for the love of the game at this point, Dan. I got 8.5 points on this.
Beast versus Bench.
Is losing fun? Is losing fun.
So we just talked about Wallner having a baby, and Jeffers just had a baby, and he has been playing lights out, Dan. Jeffers is playing so well, and you mentioned this whole page turning thing. So folks, if you haven't seen this, what happens is when he gets a hit, he first of all, he already has this whole "you can't see me" thing with John Cena, but then he also now has this, he opens the book and turns the page, and he's been doing that, I think, since the trade deadline. My question is the page turning about Jeffers turning over a new leaf because he has this new child, or is it a page turn because the Twins made all those moves at the deadline and it's like he's super happy that Correa's gone or something? Tell me, Dan, the guy who knows how to read players on the base paths, tell me what he's doing here, Dan.
I don't believe that man's ever been to medical school.
I think it's all of the above. I think that's what makes it such a fun gesture, right? It means so many things packed into one little. I mean, it's turning into quite the complicated handshake that he's got. They're going to need an extra timeout just to let him finish his gesticulations, I think, before they can
Twins
move on
get charged
with
with a mound visit or something.
Ryan, you got to do less with your hands here, buddy. But I think it's a great development for the Twins, certainly.
Would you extend Jeffers right now if you were in the front office?
You got to extend somebody here. I think I might, because he is at least shown to be an average to above average major league catcher. And that's a pretty good asset. You're going to lose Vasquez here. You got to hope that one of these guys you drafted. I mean, it's not like we're all worried. But I think you probably could. You probably get him on a reasonable deal. And then you see. And then maybe down the road, one of these young catchers. But the guys that they just traded for are like really young catchers. Like they're not coming up in the next year or two.
I think one of them's like 12. I think they just signed him and they're just hoping for the best, I think. So would you say, though, that now he and Buxton are sort of the leaders in the clubhouse?
Well, we're going to talk about that in my grade system. I had to totally redo my grading. Well, not totally redo, but there was some restructuring of the rubric. But yes, I think the short answer is yes. As for me, I had to go with this guy.
I have magic hair that glows when I sing.
Love the sound. Every time, when he had the walk-off hit here, in the slow motion, it really is like we're watching Rapunzel, lope through, down the trail with on a horse or something like that's kind of what it's.
Ogres are like onions.
Anyway, the thing that I'm going to talk about him later, but I'm just going to say for now, great series, Luke Keaschall.
Yes. So who's on your bench then, Dan?
I got to go with Mario. Mickey Gasper, he did what he could, right? I just don't know I don't know why he's still with this team. There must be somebody else that they could turn to in this moment, David, besides Mickey Gasper. I mean, I'm glad he caught.
I don't think there is.
He came up with no key hits here at all. I mean, Johnny Paredes not playing catcher there in this situation. I just thought there was an odd choice.
He got on base once. I mean, that's all you can really ask for at this point, Dan.
He's like Deshaun Kersey, but in the infield. Like it's like they're both the same player. It's very confusing to me. So that's my bench. Who do you have on yours?
I got to give it to Royce here, man. 1 for 8, and he left everybody on base. I'm not joking. It was everybody on base, Dan Thompson.
He is the one.
I haven't lost faith. I think it was just a bad series.
Oh, I thought you played the wrong sounder there. That's what you were trying to play?
Yeah, that's what
this
I wanted
is the right
play.
Sounder. No.
You were the chosen one.
It doesn't have to be anymore, David. That's what's so beautiful. Let's hold that talking point. Let's come back to it in a couple segments here.
Rocco's Rewind.
So, Dan, I got to give you props.
Thank you.
You called this here. You said they should just forget about the bullpen. Just bring up AAA starters and piggyback every outing. I don't know that that's a terrible idea, Dan. Can you imagine if a major league team, that's how they did it? Like every game, they just had 2 guys and they're like, you 2 are going to pitch this game, hell or high water. That's what's going to happen. You're going to stay out on that mound as long as the first guy can until he's so incredibly bad that we need to put you in, or the team is ahead by enough that it doesn't really matter anymore.
Well, that's the beauty of the system, because then it gives you still 3 other relief pitchers that aren't in a piggyback. And so in those difficult times, you can bring him in, or if you really want to have a closer, like a Johan Duran or something like that, you can still use him at the end.
The Twins are never going to get a guy like that, Dan.
Well,
oh, shoot.
But if you're the only guy, you can say to him, listen, we're going to do things a little differently here. We're going to have 10 starting pitchers in this and then 3 back-end bullpen guys. And we're only going to use you if things are going really well, right? I think that's a pretty good sell for a guy.
I got to be honest, we've had some dumb things we've said on this show before. I would be super intrigued to watch a team who that was their philosophy, to actually do that every game.
I would love to see. So they're close. And quite honestly, I think one of the things that happened from all of these trades is their depth at starting pitching really did get a whole lot better, right? You figure you got Bradley, you got Abel in there too. You have I know that some guys are hurt right now, like SWR is hurt, which by the way, we hope that he's getting better. He had like a stomach parasite or something.
Yeah.
He was in the dugout and he looked better.
It wasn't like an injury. Yeah, it was an illness. But to your point here, like I said last episode, Dan, pitching wins championships. I mean, if you're going to build around
starting pitching, I think,
this roster,
maybe that's what you can do.
Well, yeah, that's probably the better assessment. Now, starting pitching contributes greatly to championships, I'll say.
So we should pick our favorite piggyback pairings and just kind of see what we could do with this, and maybe we can submit that. We'll again, when we show the spreadsheet to Derek Falvey, you can add that tab.
Think of us as sommeliers of starters.
There you go. Game 2 is what I want to talk about here. I know that this is a little bit of hindsight bias, but gosh, I wish they would have done a little more run manufacturing early in this game when they got some guys on base. If there's one thing that you ought to be able to do as a Twins player right now to keep your job, it's lay down a bunt. And Mickey Gasper did not do this in Game 3. He struck out trying, as I like to call it, out on the 3rd strike because he tried to bunt it. You see how the game is going, and Royce was the culprit in one of these spots because he grounded into a double play with a couple guys on. So just
the
a
culprit in most
frustrating
of the spots, Dan.
What? Why are you so? All right, let's keep going here, Andy. Let's move on here and continue this. In the
game
next
2,
segment.
he was terrible, Dan. I'm not joking. He left like 8 guys on base.
Yeah, but he hit the ball hard a couple times in those spots. Sometimes things just go bad, right, David?
I suppose. Okay. All right, Minnesota moment. Let's go, Dan.
Minnesota moment.
You better start because now you're going to have to offer more of your defense here of why Royce Lewis game 2, he just got unlucky.
I am taking every Luke Keaschall at bat as the Minnesota moment because every time he comes up now, I have that same feeling that I had when Royce Lewis would come up last year or 2 years ago, right? He has supplanted Royce in that role of the great, if I were to get another cat right now, David, I would have to name it Luke Keaschall, even though it's very difficult to spell.
You'd have to come up with a pun, though, wouldn't you? I feel like, honestly, that's sort of the letdown that your cat is just
Quiche
Byron
on a
Buxton.
leash or something like that. Like, that would be...
Oh, better than that, though, Dan.
Nah,
My goodness.
It's like a pun. It's a play on words.
That wasn't my best.
So here's the thing, Dan. I'm trying to fill in my Minnesota moment, and you're like, okay, everything good that happened in this series happened during Luke Keaschall at bats. I'm just going to take all of them. That's how you've addressed this process. Because, of course, I think it has to be Keaschall's walk-off in Game 3, but I can't choose that, apparently, because you've taken all of his at-bats off the board, Dan.
I've
So
blackballed them all. I'm sorry. They were all really fun. Because it's the essence now of what he stands for. I think you guys talked about this last time. How different would this be? And they talked about it at the broadcast today. I think Morneau brought it up. If he had been healthy, if he hadn't gotten hit by that 87-mile-an-hour sinker or something like that, where would the Twins be right now?
Yeah, I did wonder a little bit, too. There was an at-bat, I think it was in Game 2, where he had a ball thrown up and in, and his arm, shot back. I'm wondering if he's still sort of dealing with the extra jumpiness because he saw what can happen if you take a ball wrong off the arm. But anyway, I think if I have to pick something now, I'm sort of put into a corner now, but I am going to go with Joe Ryan on the mound. Apparently, he didn't feel that he had done enough sort of hijinks on the mound, Dan, to set himself apart as the weird pitcher. And so what he's done now is he put a towel all around his head, to protect his hair, supposedly is what the broadcast was saying. I don't know that I really buy that. I honestly think he just likes to be a weird dude, Dan.
Don't forget to bring a towel.
He's drawing it's like he's the decoy, right? So if we all pay all of our attention to Joe Ryan and his antics, then we won't question that Mickey Gasper is DHing and batting 9th in the lineup.
Could be, Dan. Let's keep going here. Maurer's musings.
I just don't know how it can get any better.
Maurer's musings.
Do you think they're going to trade Joe Ryan and Bailey Ober and Pablo Lopez? Because Hoag's last episode was downright certain that's what's going to happen in the offseason. And I said last episode that would be just heartbreaking because right now you can still look at this roster and you can say there is a path to success here with this roster with a couple of additions. And obviously the question that you're going to ask is going to be a pretty heavy one in this offseason.
Right.
But first of all, do you think they're going to trade those guys? And do you think they should, I guess, is a two-parter?
Yeah, I definitely think they should not trade those guys because of the team control that we think means something. I think that if the team doesn't get sold, I think the longer that the team isn't sold, I think the more likely it becomes that they get traded because the Pohleds seem to have this idea that they want to, rather than presenting somebody with a lovely house to sell, they're cracking the windows and tearing up the kitchen and then just pouring water all over the house. It's just it's this weird, almost gasoline fire strategy to burn the house down and then say, look here, instead of a beautiful home, you can have a home that's been mutilated. I feel that's what they're saying to fans and to this team. It's a weird, and I don't know why that they're doing that, but it feels, we heard the reports, right, that was the reason that they that Falvey made all those deals is because the owners told him to. But I don't think that they should. I think they got to keep these guys because I think they do have, I agree with you, I think they do have a core that can be good in the next couple of seasons.
I think no question they do. And okay, this is sort of off topic. I've been rewatching King of the Hill because they just started a new season now on Hulu. And I really had a deep love for King of the Hill as a TV show. But there's an episode where through a series of events, Hank has to make his house that he loves so much look really bad so it appraises really poorly. So you talking about that's what the Pohleds are doing. It's all I have in my mind. And so it's a sweet moment at the end though because the appraiser is well, here's your appraisal. He goes, I could give you a couple of names of handymen who could help you fix looks up the place, and like Hank is devastated that this guy thinks that he like doesn't take care of his house, and he's like, but I'm sure the craftsman who made this house look as terrible as it does knows how to make it back right again, or something like that. It's like, I just wish that was the case here, Dan, but unfortunately in this scenario, no, they're destroying the house with no intention to fix it back up.
It's a bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see if it pays off for them.
That's what it feels like. My question to you then follows on the heels of yours, I think. What process would you follow in rebuilding the bullpen for 2026? Because I think what they're doing right now, well, I'll just leave it to you and then we can kind of backtrack if we need to. But what would you do?
I don't even know, to be honest, because right now your AAA roster for relief pitchers isn't super deep by any stretch of the imagination. I would point to the current state of the Major League bullpen as evidence point number one for why the AAA bullpen doesn't look that great. But the thing is, if you're doing this in free agency where you're just pulling guys off of free agency into your bullpen, the problem with that is the Twins do that a lot, but they're always doing it for like reclamation projects or guys who they're just sort of taking a shot on. And they did that because they had slots they needed to fill, knowing that you already have your high leverage guys. Now you have nothing. You have nothing in your bullpen that you can go into next season thinking, okay, well, Justin Topa's our closer. No, Michael Tonkin's our closer. You can't do that if you're going to be competitive. It cannot be done. So what are you going to do? I think you're going to have to spend a little money in the offseason for once on relief pitching, which the Twins haven't done in quite some time, Dan, but I don't see another path forward.
I think another path forward is you see what these 8 guys now can do. And I think we've seen it in a weird way, but they haven't been awful. I mean, like Cole Sands seemingly has been better. Cody Funderburk has shown an ability to get some guys out. I think you hope that this extended audition in those times, maybe 2 guys. I think maybe you get 2 guys right now out of this current bullpen that you can say, yep, we're going to keep you around for next year. Maybe you convert a guy like Pearson Ole into a reliever, or maybe somebody else, somebody with maybe some more electric stuff, because Pearson Ole doesn't throw that hard. So maybe you say to one of those starters, hey, we want you to be a back-end bullpen guy, because that's something the Twins have actually done really well. They've turned guys like Louis Varland, Johan Duran was a starter for a while, Griffin Jacks was a starter. I mean, the 3 best guys that they had were starters. And so I think maybe you say, hey, now that we've got 15 starting pitchers who we could turn to, and then, that's hyperbole, but like maybe you say to guys like that, hey, have you considered the 8th inning?
It's a fun one.
Yeah.
How would you like to only pitch when things are going well? Right. Like that's how you have to present it, Tim. Like the ABCs of closing here work in a different fashion here.
So maybe that's what I would say is you hope, but I agree they're going to have to spend something here. If they don't, then I think they're waving as much as anybody could be. I think they're waving the flag on 26 and hoping that over the years they can develop guys like that.
Well, and then we're thinking after 26, there's likely going to be a lockout anyway. Maybe that's how the ownership group is playing it. They're like, you know what? We're just going to wait because they're not going to be playing in 27 anyway. But let's go ahead. Let's grade this series, Dan.
Series grades.
We are far apart, man. Last episode, Hogs and I were really far apart, and now you and I are far apart, but in the other direction. I'm going to give him a C+ here, because the thing is, Dan, if you're going to lose games the rest of this season, you should not be able to point to anybody else except the bullpen and say, man, if we would have had anybody decent in the bullpen, we would have definitely been able to pull this one out. None of the losses, the loss in this series, Dan, was because you went 0-10 with runners in scoring position, and you couldn't get it done against guys who just aren't phenomenal. Like, Cameron is good, but the rest of that Kansas City bullpen, like, you should have been able to get some hits on the board. So it was really frustrating to me that they couldn't get it done, and you can't blame the bullpen. So I'm giving them a C+ for this series, even though they won 2 of 3. This was an easy opportunity to sweep, and you just couldn't get it done from the offensive side, which is quite frustrating.
Yeah, so that's not my grade. Mine's a lot higher. So I went to my rubric, and I made some modifications. So I kept momentum.
Why it's higher. You haven't had a chance to, like, balance it out yet. So
no,
you're still trying to sort it out.
Because it's still, the math works very well. So with momentum on the pendulum, I gave him a +1 because you won again a home series. It was exciting. You beat a division rival, so a +1, which is 4 points. Decision making, really, aside from some of the over aggressiveness on the base paths from guys like Austin Martin, I gave him a +1 there. That's 4 points. I had to totally eliminate the stars category, David, because they traded him away. Buxton wasn't back yet. Hopefully he is back, maybe for part of this Yankees series. So I took him away. And then, but what I've done is I've taken my other 2 categories and I've made 2 new categories out of my 3. So now I have the old and the young is my split here.
I love it, Dan.
So,
I love it.
because that's really, there's no mid anymore. There's no star, whatever there is.
I'm not dead.
Thank you. So I count Jefferson, Buxton, and Joe Ryan as kind of the old now, like the old guard. So maybe it's not.
What was, out of curiosity, what was Ryan before? Wasn't he a...
He was a star because he's been an all-star. That was
okay.
That was the criteria. And then the young is mostly everybody else. I gave them both a +2 in this series because I thought that overall, any guy whose name I know and can pronounce played pretty well in this series. Some of the relief pitchers that I'm not quite so certain on yet were maybe some of the culp. So anyway, all in all, a good score. This tallies out to 18 out of 20. Multiply that by 5. Well, just you can do the math. It's a 92%. It's an A-.
Wasn't it out of 25
sorry, 90%.
before?
It's a 90% A-. That's what I mean. It was out of 25 before. Now it's out of 20.
Oh, okay. You changed the values also. Okay, good. I'm not going to...
No, I just eliminated one category. So there's 4 categories now instead of 5, but each one is out of 5 points after I convert from the pendulum -2 to 2.
Okay. So I do want to point out one note about the bullpen that was really funny also. They're making a note on the broadcast about how Rocco's going to have to, make some interesting decisions to really fill the holes here with this bullpen. And they put the camera on the bullpen. And Dan, if there was ever a scene taken directly out of Bad News Bears, that was the scene. Because it was guys, they showed 3 guys. I couldn't have told you any of their names. Couldn't have told you one of their names, and none of them looked like they wanted to be there, Dan. Not a single one. So it was just so funny. They're like, he's going to have to make some interesting decisions about the bullpen. Camera pans to 3 guys. I don't know who they are, and they don't look like they want to be there. It was kind of embarrassing.
All right, let's look around the league here at Herbie's Headline.
Folks, before the summer comes to an end, we have a new sponsor for you to celebrate. Rave Sports is your one-stop shop for all things water sports. They've been around since 1997 and are based right here in Eagan, and they have all the toys you need for your lake life. Give your pontoon the water patio it's always wanted with an aqueduct. Take your kids on a thrill ride with a new hyper tube, or just chill out with an inflatable paddleboard. It's all at Rave, and don't forget to use promo code Pulltab for 20% off your order. Whether you're a lake person or a river person, make it the best summer ever and visit ravesports.com. Rave Sports, make waves.
I don't know, Jack. It looked like Herbeck pulled him off the bag.
Herbie's Headlines.
Really, one note, it's the Cal Raleigh watch. So I believe he had 2 home runs in this series. The Mariners are doing really, really well. But he had his 44th home run. I believe his 43rd actually came off of Griffin Jacks against the Rays in a pretty key spot where he hit a 3-run home run with his team down 2-0. So he now has 44, as I said, the 3rd most ever in a season by a catcher. The only other 2 ahead of him, Johnny Bench, who had 45, and actually Salvador Perez had a season of 48. A few years ago.
That's surprising.
Isn't it? So yeah, probably. I didn't look up the year, but yes. But I think he had 25 of them that year against the Twins, probably. He actually had a really quiet series. This was I don't think we mentioned Salvador Perez until now in the podcast, which is pretty rare for a Royals series.
Definitely. I actually ran into a Royals fan at church this morning who was in town visiting for the series. And so we were talking a little bit. I asked him what he thought about Target Field. You know what he said? First words out of his mouth. Well, it ain't no Kauffman.
Oh, well, Kauffman is a beautiful place.
It is, but I think Target Field can hold its own a bit here.
I think so too. All right, let's go ahead and make our picks for the Yankees series.
And we'll see you tomorrow night.
Puckett's Picks.
The listeners are going to take Luke Keaschall. Also, we say Keaschall, but when
Keaschall,
says
I think.
it,
They keep saying.
Yeah, that's how. Is that how it's supposed to be done?
Keaschall? I don't know. That's how they say. It seems like Keaschall's simpler.
That's why it is. Just because it's simpler doesn't. My last name is Koufis, Dan. Like you can make that a lot simpler too.
Kuffis.
Yes, always. It's normally Kuffis. I've had some weird ones like Kufasab, and I'm like, where are you getting all those letters from, man? But anyway, so I'm going to go with Keaschall until I'm told for sure that's wrong. And then it goes to me. I'm going to take Jeffers, and then it's going to go to Hogs, who we're picking for because he's in the desert running, I think, or something. Whatever Hogs is doing, me going on this trip with Hogs would be equivalent to the amount of hate that Hogs would have going on the trip with me to play board games. Except for in this scenario, I think I die. It would be bad, Dan.
Ogres are like onions. End of story.
That would be more tragic, I think. So I've been checking Twitter for what I see. It looks like Byron Buxton is probably going to play. So I'm going to try the Byron Buxton strategy here, and I'm going to pick him for this Yankees series and hope for the best. Also, David, before you send us out here, I just got to mention that Carlos Correa, over his last 7 games now, 29 at-bats, 13 hits, 2 home runs, 6 RBI, 4 walks, 3 strikeouts with a batting average of 448. That's actually pretty good. So he seems to be doing okay, but just you wait, David.
Why are you so obsessed with me?
Those are pretty good numbers, Dan.
They are actually. They were worse earlier, and then they got better. I'm a little frustrated.
Well, it's nice when you know what pitches are coming. It's a little easier to play this game.
Ooh, that's true. Good point. See, it's all coming back.
Okay, well, I'm going to send this out, Dan. Well, folks, if you like what you hear, please tell a friend. You can follow us on X at Min for the Win and find our Min for the Win Facebook and Instagram pages. Make sure you subscribe to the podcast on your favorite podcast platform so that you're notified when new episodes are available. And if you could leave us a rating or like, we'd greatly appreciate it. If you'd like to support the show further, you can find us on Patreon. Link in the description. Thanks for listening, and as always, go Twins. That'll wrap up another episode of Men for the Win, a podcast hosted by David Kufis and Dan Thompson, 2 avid fans who appreciate well-played baseball, especially when it's done by the Twins. Thanks so much for listening, and as always, go Twins.